want you to Google Miguel Cabrera 2006 intentional walk hit. The guy hit a go-ahead RBI off of an intentional walk pitch that was a little bit too far inside, and not only was it a little bit too far inside, but the pitcher obviously assumed that no way would Miggy ever swing at an intentional walk pitch, so he lobbed the ball into the plate, and Miggy squared up on it and rocked it out into the outfield. I mean,
and at some point, and the same thing. Let's say you got a guy on second, and you're trying to get those, a guy on first and second for double play possibility, and you've got, and let's say you got wheels. You got D. Gordon. I know he's suspended for the PED thing, but the guy can run. Or Billy Hamilton. You're getting a fastball that's kind of a bit of a rainbow at maybe 60. Who's to say he can't take off and get to third? At that point, then a lot more things come into play at that point. I mean, there is so much strategy that goes into what you're doing on the base, what happens with intentional walk, and we've seen guys that just they overthrow the catcher, and believe it or not, there is actually a balk that can be called on the catcher. It is called a catcher's balk. You see it maybe once every 5 or 10 years, but the catcher is the only player on the field that is by rule allowed to be in a dead ball area, basically outside of the foul lines at the time of the pitch. But he has to be in the catcher's box. And if he steps out of that box prior to the ball being thrown, it's a balk on the catcher, and you can move the runners. So I get it doesn't happen very often, but it can. And if a guy, you get a guy that slips, he loses the ball. There are too many things that can happen, and throwing 4 intentional walk pitches, throwing 4 quick balls is not going to take up the amount of time that you're really trying to save, that it's worth changing one of the deep-rooted fabrics of this game and the possibilities that can happen that can affect the outcome of a game.
Yeah, and let's be honest. The intentional walk is not what's taking up time in games. Pitchers don't throw passes to every big hitter in the league every time they come to the plate. You might see a pitcher give a pass 1, maybe 2 times in an entire game, and maybe not even that much. So, honestly, intentional walks aren't taking up time. Pitchers are the egregious violators of game time. You got guys who are taking 30 and 40 seconds between pitches. It's ridiculous.
And we will get into that because, they've instituted now, obviously, the clock in Major League Baseball for time in between innings, getting the batter in the box, the visit time that a manager is allowed. In the minor leagues, minor league baseball has instituted a pitching clock. I've seen it expire with nothing really happening, so, I want to see how it's going to be received. But, yes, there are things that are being done to speed up the game, and, yes, pitchers are more often than not the issue with making the game longer. But I know the guys are out there yelling at their speaker right now. Well, what about Bryce Harper? Bryce Harper got walked an insane amount, a series or 2 ago. So, yes, you're going to see guys that get walked a lot, but they're also going to get times where if you don't want him to get walked, you got to maneuver your lineup around to where you can have him protected on top, behind him, which was why it was a great job. If when Poppy's swinging the bat, you move Bradley to the 5th spot. Now all of a sudden, let's walk Poppy. Well, shoot, now we got a guy that's hit in 29 straight games. He's got a hot bat. Which one do we choose? At least Poppy tends to ground out when he rolls over. He pulls. So
right. And the thing is, the problem is Bryce Harper was really the only guy hitting. So when the only guy on the team is hitting, that's like Goldie in Arizona. You know what I mean? Goldie's the only guy hitting in Arizona last year. Hitting over 400 for a large portion of the season, and he's the only guy doing it. So do you walk Goldie? Heck yeah, you walk Goldie, because there's nobody on base.
Right. So, again, guys, if you disagree with us or, tell us what your idea is about the rule change. What do you think? Could it be different? What do you see? Again, we're on Twitter. We have, we're on Gmail. That's ooleftfield@gmail.com or @ooleftfield on Twitter. Again, Chris and I both are looking. We'll both, we'll respond to you. If you have, you have a question for one of us, just, tag it. Hey, Graham. Hey, Chris. What do you got? And we'll be more than happy to, we can try and respond to you. We'd love to have some interaction with you guys and, and get more of your buddies listening to it. That's, for ladies and for our male listeners out there. We get a lot of softball guys and softball ladies and also baseball ladies. My girlfriend loves baseball, loves going and watching. So, and I know your wife does as well. So,
let's not forget the crossover of baseball and softball with Matt Harvey in New York, who's obviously throwing softball.
I would say that, but I agree. I think that Jenny Finch could probably outpitch him right now. If we put the mound in an area, and let her throw underhand. Which, by the way, Jenny Finch is actually going to make history. I believe in the next week or so, she is going to be a manager for one of the independent league men's teams, and maybe be a minor league team. She's doing a one-day managerial fill-in, and she'll become the first woman to ever manage a men's pro baseball team. So congratulations to her. We're on the last segment of the show, and I know that this is the one that you've been waiting for because you begged for this to be in there. So with no further ado, Chris Furry, please tell us about how happy you are the way that your San Francisco Giants are playing on what is another even year, and they're starting even earlier on making their push towards the World Series.
Yeah, let me tell you, like I said, I'm a lifelong Giants fan. I broke my nose on a railing at the 1989 World Series in Game 3 at Candlestick Park when the earthquake hit. I've been there. I love them. And 2010 was a breakout year for me. I cried when they won the World Series. I actually cried. I'm telling you, I was in the Army at the time, and that's not easy for me to admit. But seeing them do it again in 2012 and then again in 2014, and now here we are in another even year, 2016, and I go down to Phoenix to watch them play the Diamondbacks. First game of a 3-game series. I'm thinking, well, if we can get 2 out of 3 here, maybe we can make a push. The Diamondbacks are in first place right now. And then it starts, and the Giants go 7 in a row. They break a 102-year-old record for road games. They swept 2 straight road series, one against the Diamondbacks and one against the Padres, breaking a 102-year-old record for the ball club. And they've been on a rip ever since. They dropped 1 game to the Cubbies, take 2 out of 3 from the best team in baseball, and then continue and sweep the Padres coming back to San Francisco. They've won 13 out of their last 14, and to be honest with you, with a day's break yesterday, I don't see it stopping anytime soon. They're doing fantastic.
Aside from the Cubs' loss, their last loss, I believe, if I am reading this right, was 16 days ago against the Blue Jays, and they actually got blanked. And I know we'll get into this because you're struggling, but they got blanked with Matt Cain on the mound, and that's the one. I think that the one thing where the Giants need to improve, and they have the ability to improve with their farm system. Their top 3 are arguably probably some of the top 3. Between them and the Cubs, where you have Lester, you have Arrieta, and John Lackey. And I get Lackey's getting older, and his numbers aren't the best. But you don't have a lot of teams that have 3 big names. You have probably the Cubbies, the Giants, and yes, the Mets. Right now you have 2 because you have a big name in Harvey, but he's not pitching like a big name.
Right.
But you need to see Jake Peavy improve, or Matt Cain, or they've got to get moved in some way.
To be honest with you, I'd like to see Jake Peavy go to Sacramento for a little while. And look, Jake Peavy might not be hurt. He might just be old. He might just be tired. But I think Jake Peavy needs to go on the 60-day disabled list, and I think he needs to take a trip down to Sacramento. And to be honest with you, Sacramento's number 1 hurler is a guy named Black. Ty Black. And I think that they need to bring him up, let him pitch in Peavy's spot, and see what he can do in the major leagues. His major league numbers haven't been great, but to be honest with you, they're better than Jake Peavy's right now.
Yes, yeah, and I looked at, you're right, they aren't very good. He's had a couple of stints up in here in a few years. Nothing has really been the best. Here we go. Let me pull him up right now. He's 6'2", 200, 25 years old out of Denver. I want to see him up, and if you're going to do it early. Allow him, really allow him to, get his feet wet and test him in a time where right now, you're up by 4.5 games, and you have plenty of time to make up instead of bringing him up in a pennant race and then going, all right, man, we need you to fill in. Just help us out here. So I'm with you. I think you send him down, you help TV at least get his, try and get his confidence back, because here's my issue, and TV is a very, very intense player. But the thing with his delivery, that massive leg kick that he has, it is so very easy if he is just a little bit off. If he's falling off the mound one way or the other, or he's either going to miss, which we've seen, he's either missing way out of the zone to righties, or he's leaning too far in, and he's serving up a ball right down Broadway, and they have no problems absolutely destroying that ball when it's coming out of his hand.
Yeah, when you have an ERA in the 7s, it's unforgivable. It's in a starting pitcher, and in any pitcher really. But when you have an ERA in the 7s and you're not the number 5 guy, Jake Peavy, he is now, but he was starting at one point in front of Matt Cain.
Yeah,
right? That makes the question.
Right now, Jake is has a 1-5 record, as does Matt Cain. Matt Cain is sitting. Let me see here. His earned. He has given up 31 earned runs. Peavy has given up 39 earned runs. Cain has a 5.37 ERA. Peavy is at a 7.26.
And that tells you that Cain's going deeper in games than Peavy is, which is sad because, don't get me wrong, I love Matt Cain. Matt Cain, when I watched Matt Cain throw a perfect game a couple of years ago, I was ecstatic. I couldn't have happened to a better guy. He's a great dude, great ball player.
Cain has pitched one less game, and in one less game, there's only a 3 2/3 innings difference between Cain and Peavy. Cain having thrown 52 flat, and Peavy at 48 1/3. Yeah. I agree. I think he needs to fix his mechanics, and he may just be at that point where he got his ring in 14, and it may be time that he needs to retire. I mean, he's not going to want to come out of the pen, I don't think. I know the one of the biggest guys for the Giants that did that was Lincecum. I know we'll get into that once we see him with the Angels playing up in the bigs. I'm interested to see what he does. A real quick note: so far this year, Ty Black is 5-3 with a 3.75 ERA in 9 games. He has pitched 50 1/3 innings, allowed 46 hits with 21 earned runs, but he's only given up 1 homer. He has walked 17, struck out 30, so would kind of like to see command improve just a little bit. He's got a 2.57 average against him. So I think he's more of a pitch to contact guy than a power guy, which is fine. You got a great defense in San Fran, so if you are going to pitch to contact, you can trust the guys behind you to pick you up. He's got a whip of 1.25.
I think that he's a better option for my money than going and trading for somebody right now. I think it's a little too early in the season to make that call, but give Peavy some time off. Let him go down and get some rehab starts, and let Black come up and see if he can do anything. I mean, it's early in the season, and we're nursing a 4.5 game lead. So,
and you've got a guy like Bumgarner who, he's helping himself. He can swing the bat. He's a good hitter. So, I mean, you definitely have the ability, to stay up there. And, I'm sure next week and in the weeks to follow, I think we'll be seeing the Giants and the Dodgers, really going. The Dodgers calling up their prospects. I had his name and I lost it. He's, I think, the first Mexican pitcher since Valenzuela to be coming up. It's Julio Urias, I believe is the name, and he is making his debut. A 19-year-old making his debut today, and from what I've seen, he really has some good stuff. So, Battle, I appreciate you doing this. I had a blast. I look forward to doing it next week, guys. We hope that you out there are enjoying it. Again, our thanks to the Grueling Truth and Mike Goodpasser for giving us the opportunity. Again, please get at us on Twitter. It's at OO Left Field. If you want to email us, it's